Musk is now the seventh richest man in the world.
Musk is now the fourth richest man in the world.
Elon Musk is now the world's richest person again, according to Forbes.
His name is Elon Musk.
You might think you know it all, but you don't. All your Google searches could never provide what you're about to find out. The billionaire Elon Musk's life is warped in so much secrecy that it took decades to uncover this tiny bit. So don't you dare miss the opportunity to get a glimpse of the mysteries behind the Musk family. This whole setup is not just about making Musk rich. It gives him the kind of control that shapes entire industries and maybe even the future itself. Rockets, robots, artificial intelligence, brain chips, you name it. All of it runs on a hidden system so carefully designed that most people do not even know it exists. And it's not just Musk at the center. His inner circle, including a few hand-picked family members and discreet financial masterminds, are quietly pulling the strings behind one of the most calculated wealth operations the world has ever seen. So stick around, because what we are about to uncover might just change the way you see power, money, and the man who claims he is trying to save humanity.
Were you guys listening? What do you think?
Now, let's rewind for a moment, shall we? Back in early 2020, Elon Musk's net worth sat at around $27 billion. Still outrageously wealthy, sure, but nowhere near the jaw-dropping levels it would soon reach. Then, Tesla stock went on a wild and almost unreal run. Within the span of a single year, Musk's fortune ballooned by over $150 billion, catapulting him into the top tier of global wealth almost overnight. But this meteoric rise was anything but smooth.
Today, Tesla officially became part of the S&P 500 stock index, which tracks the fortunes of 500 large companies here in the U.S. Tesla was added to the S&P after reporting 5 straight quarters of profits going back to last year.
There was one unforgettable day in September 2020 when his fortune took a massive hit, $16 billion gone in just 24 hours. It was the single largest one-day loss ever recorded on Bloomberg's Billionaires Index. But here is what makes Musk different. While others might panic, he simply recalibrated. Why? Because he has something most billionaires do not have: deep and commanding stakes in the very machines driving the future. He owns about 172 million Tesla shares, plus almost 93 million more through stock options. That is not just a crazy amount of money, it is serious leverage. It gives him a front-row seat to the biggest decisions shaping tech, the economy, and even how governments respond to innovation. And here is the thing most people only ever see on the surface. What is really going on behind closed doors is way more complicated. Those shares are just the beginning. There is a whole hidden system underneath full of legal protections, quiet insider strategies, and long-term moves designed to make sure his power stays untouched.
It's really taking the technology to the next level. And people were able to guess, of course, that we're unveiling the dual-motor Model S, but what they'll learn tonight is just how much of an improvement it is.
This whole tweet that you sent out less than, 10 days ago,
Yeah.
You sent this tweet out. Were you surprised by how the internet pretty much got it right with what you were going to unveil?
I think the internet is very good at figuring out secrets.
Now here is where things get really fascinating. Even though Elon is worth hundreds of billions, he has often said he is cash poor, and strangely enough, that might actually be true. Most of his fortune is locked up in company stock, which means he cannot just swipe a card and buy whatever he wants. Shares do not work like cash, and that is exactly the point. It is all part of a clever strategy. By keeping his wealth tied up in stock instead of piles of cash, Musk avoids massive tax bills, keeps tight control over his companies, and even uses his shares like his own personal ATM. Believe it or not, he has pledged nearly 90 million Tesla shares as collateral. So in a way, he is basically borrowing from himself, juggling an incredible financial balancing act on a scale few could ever imagine. The risk is huge, but so far he has managed to pull it off with style. This behind-the-scenes game of financial chess is just another layer of the secret world powering Musk's empire, and it raises a big question. How far can this strategy take him before the whole thing shifts? Stick around, because we are only just scratching the surface. Hidden away in Austin, Texas, there's this place that most people have probably never even heard of. It's not flashy or anything you'd notice driving by. No giant logos or fancy lights, just a simple door with a corporate suite number on it. But behind that door lies something pretty wild. Accession. That's Elon Musk's super-secret family office. The name actually comes from a science fiction book about mysterious alien objects so powerful and strange that humans can barely wrap their heads around them. Pretty fitting, right? Because this is where all the big financial moves happen, where the money and power get carefully managed and controlled. Right at the center of it all is Jared Birchall. He used to work at Morgan Stanley, but now he's basically Elon's right-hand man. Jared isn't just handling investments. He's the guy who does it all, negotiating big deals on Wall Street, managing complicated financial strategies, and even handling some of Elon's more unusual personal business. Remember that bizarre episode where Elon hired a private investigator during some internet feud? Yeah, Jared was involved in all that too. So this isn't just about money, it's about managing secrets, drama, and the kind of stuff you don't see in public. But what really sets Accession apart from your average family office is their deep dive into cryptocurrency. They manage something like $5 billion in Bitcoin alone. Then throw in Dogecoin and Ethereum, and you realize they are playing a very different game from most wealthy families. It makes sense when you think about who Elon is, a mix of tech visionary and internet prankster. His crypto holdings don't just sit there, they're tools for influence. One tweet from Elon can send the price of an entire cryptocurrency soaring or crashing. It's crazy how much power that gives him. He isn't just investing for profit. He's shaping the markets and pushing the future of money with a single post. This is next-level financial strategy, where influence and investment blend into one, and it's happening in real time right behind that quiet door in Austin. They also dive into philanthropy, but in true Musk fashion, it is never just ordinary giving. Take the Musk Foundation, for example. On the surface, it looks like your typical charity. But peel back the layers, and you see it is actually a clever piece of a much bigger puzzle. The foundation holds around $5 billion, and most of that is wrapped up in Tesla stock. So whenever Tesla's value climbs, the foundation's worth climbs right along with it. It is a win-win. It looks like generosity, and maybe it really is, but it is also some seriously savvy tax strategy. Between 2016 and 2021, Musk donated billions worth of Tesla shares to the foundation. That move alone could have saved him close to $2 billion in taxes. So yes, he is giving back, but he is also playing the long game, thinking 3 steps ahead while doing some good. Now let's talk about Elon's brother, Kimball Musk.
I'm standing in the middle of a farm in Colorado, and there's a bit of a food revolution going on here. Its leader, Kimball Musk.
He's not as loud or in your face, but he's definitely part of the empire. Kimball is worth around $500 million, mostly from Tesla and SpaceX. He sits on Tesla's board, owns a good chunk of shares, and has already cashed out over $100 million since Tesla went public. But he's still involved, still holding shares, still helping shape decisions. The two brothers go way back. Their first company together, Zip2, sold in 1999. Kimball walked away with $15 million from that deal, and that money helped plant the seeds of what would become this massive Musk dynasty. And it is clear they have a solid game plan. They know when to cash in and when to keep holding. But through it all, they never really walk away from the controls. That is how you make sure your original vision stays intact. You remain involved, even if you are not always the loudest person in the room. But they are far from alone in this. They have built a circle of high-powered allies. Larry Ellison, for example, is the co-founder of Oracle and one of the wealthiest tech figures around. When he became one of Tesla's biggest individual shareholders and even took a seat on the board, it was much more than a casual investment. That move was all about strategy. He stood by Elon, and even after leaving the board, he held on to his stake. That kind of loyalty speaks volumes.
That came about when he broke his neck. He was inner tubing with his children.
The combination of deep family involvement, powerful allies, and heavyweight investors creates a setup that feels more like a masterclass in long-term control than anything else. Every move seems deliberate. Every connection adds another layer of strength. Nothing about it feels random. And watching it all play out is oddly captivating. Once you begin to connect the dots, the broader strategy starts to come into focus. This isn't only about business. It's about creating something enduring and surrounding it with enough protection to keep it moving forward, no matter what comes. So yeah, keep an eye on the Musk orbit. There is always more happening beneath the surface than the headlines ever tell you. Let's look even closer at Accession in Austin. This is not just a random office with a clever name. It is like Musk's version of the Batcave. Seriously, you could drive by and never guess the kind of financial wizardry happening behind those walls. The distance from Wall Street and Silicon Valley is not just about peace and quiet. It is a statement, almost a kind of flex. Like saying, I do not need to play by your rules. I will build my own game board right here in Texas. Thank you very much. The privacy is not only about keeping regulators at arm's length. It is about building an empire that does not give out invites unless Musk decides it is time. That is a serious power move. Think about it. He has his hands on the levers, but the curtains are drawn. But let us be clear. This whole thing is not about making money just for the fun of stacking bills. Musk is crafting this strange, looping ecosystem. The money funds his wilder projects, like rockets to Mars, AI that can write poetry, and chips you can put in your brain. Projects that sound like science fiction until you realize he is already halfway there. And then those projects bounce back and reinforce his legend. The more he does, the bigger the myth. And his giving? It is rarely just a donation. The Musk Foundation puts money into causes he believes in, like green energy, education, and future tech. It is giving, sure, but it is also directing. Shaping the future in ways that align with his vision. Look at the pattern. His companies are not just companies. They are living extensions of who he is. Tesla is not just selling cars, it is selling a cleaner, cooler tomorrow. SpaceX is not just launching rockets, it is redefining what humanity is capable of. Every move circles back to his brand, his mythos, his magnetism. Markets move on his mood. Stock prices jump or drop based on his tweets, his jokes, or his choice to wear a cowboy hat on stage. That is not normal CEO behavior. Most billionaires prefer to disappear into private jets and gated compounds. Musk is live streaming the madness. Honestly, if you tried to replace him with someone else, the whole structure might collapse. The system he has built relies on his particular cocktail of chaos, charm, and creativity. He is like Steve Jobs meets Tony Stark with a hint of internet mischief. And for some wild reason, it works. The most traditional people in finance would kill for this kind of gravitational pull. Even the critics who cannot stand him still tune in. They cannot help it. So here is the deal. Whether you think he is a genius or just enjoy the spectacle, Musk is not following the old script. He tossed the playbook out the window and started writing his own rules in permanent marker. If you are only looking at the rich lists and earnings reports, you are missing the real story. There is something much larger unfolding here. A new framework for how power, money, and culture intersect in the modern world. And honestly, it is captivating. This is not just a financial empire. It is a live experiment in how influence really works. If you think so too, share your thoughts down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.